What's up, community? How everyone is feeling today? Welcome back to another live stream. Just so happy to see everyone again. Some familiar faces as usual. Everyone is back, and today we have a special video. Oh yeah, we have a special video. We are actually making two reactions to two videos. The first one will be probably this one. So by Theo from, Theo, it's probably, everyone probably knows him, is like a very popular streamer on YouTube and Twitch. And he made a video actually that was kind of saying good things about Laravel. So I want to watch that because in fact, I have actually watched his video where he wasn't really understanding some of the Laravel things, but I know he gave the Laravel a second try and he was happy with it. So we are going to see this. And if we have time, depending on how much time we spend on this one, if we have time, we are going to see another video from Theo, which says, why don't we have Laravel on JavaScript? So two very exciting videos, in my opinion. Meanwhile, in case you don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro, PHP Laravel developer and everything in between. You can find me on my YouTube channel, publishing videos every single day, which, by the way, we just had a crazy video with Caleb Porzio. So before we do that, let's just recap here a little bit with the chat here. How everyone is doing today. David, nice to see you, dude. Diogo, welcome to the stream. Peak and Flow, how you doing, dude? Just nice to see you again. Daniel again here with us. Rafa as well. Peak and Flow again. Yeah, Peak and Flow is kind of a traditional, like an OG of the stream already. So nice to see you. How was your day for everyone? Like, I had a happy day, Wake up at 10, did some solid cloud work, so that was fun. Had an healthy meal, at lunch. Went for a run. I run for basically 1 hour and 30 minutes, so that was good for my knee and for my health as well. Came back, did again some cloud work, and now, we're back to streaming, just doing some cool streams. And by the way, yeah, so today on my YouTube channel, I actually published a crazy video with Caleb Porzio like this, and then Flux. Let's start with the audio. How is the audio from the video we are watching for you? Is too loud? It's not too loud? Let me know. But I just published this video with Caleb Porzio, which I think it's quite cool. Just check this out. To do like this, and then Flux, select for each cases I have on my to-do. Thank you, ChatGPT. You know, and then I end the thing. Yeah, let's go. Okay. Ooh, that's nice. I just love when I put this background musics behind the videos. I just love them. I really like to basically go to Epidemic Sounds and select a sound to put as a background, basically. So then I can just, edit the video and kind of, when the sound goes a little bit too crazy, combine that with specific parts of the video. And I just love what I did here with Caleb Porzio. Drop down here, something a little bit more fancy, And
you can add variant list box as an attribute to select.
Anybody is saying epic programming experience. Yeah, man, that was a fun live stream. I mean, Caleb Porzio is a superstar, right? So it was just funny to do this with him.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Something I found funny about this stream was he was basically talking to me saying, "Oh, you just add this attribute and that's it." And I was like, "What?" And for example, here was a good example. So variant, just right here, list box. What I literally had this little list box variant to a selector, and suddenly, I don't believe you. Check this out. Oh my god.
Your boy.
I personally find this like so cool, man. It's, for real, epic programming experience for real, man. Oh, it's cool that the audio is good, by the way. But yeah, just to say that, this video is on YouTube, so be sure to check my YouTube channel. Videos every day at 1 p.m. Give me a subscribe over there because I'm publishing videos every single day on my YouTube channel. That being said, if you're watching me on Twitch, give me a follow there as well. But today, I'm not here to speak about my YouTube channel, but to react to a video from Theo. So if you don't know Theo, it's part of one of the, it's also a big streamer within the JavaScript community. I don't think we can say that he's like a big streamer in the JavaScript community, but for sure, he have a lot of opinions within the JavaScript ecosystem, you know? So today, we are here to react to, you know, some of his takes on Laravel. We have 2 videos, and I feel we are going to start with the most easy one, or, you know, the one that he says only cool things about Laravel. And then we have here another video where I think he's kind of comparing Laravel with the, you know, with the JavaScript ecosystem. And let's see how it goes. But let's get started. What do you guys think?
You're so dumb that your code doesn't run. I'm so dumb that PHP and Laravel have made significant changes based on the failures I had trying to set up. I did a...
Yeah, something I forgot to say is that literally Theo, which is something that came from the JavaScript community, he actually have done a live stream using Laravel, and I feel like his first experience with Laravel wasn't the one he was expecting. And I feel that the reason for that, at the time I saw this, I think the reason was because he basically, you know, was using frameworks that are don't work the exactly same way as Laravel, you know. So besides probably PHP not being his main language, besides that, he also was used to some development tools that we don't have or we didn't have on Laravel, which we now do, I think.
A while back where I gave PHP an honest go, specifically Laravel, and had a bit of a rough experience. There was a lot of details that weren't quite where I would have expected a modern tool to be. It felt like they couldn't decide between...
Yeah, I would question here the modern tooling. Maybe it wasn't the way he is used to. Probably that's what he meant, you know? Because typically, you know, if you go to other languages like, you know, like C or Rust or, you know, other languages in the ecosystem, there is also a few things that you don't have, you know, on the JavaScript tooling, okay? So it's not probably something that it's not modern, it's just something that we didn't have at the time.
Making something that worked for people who have never coded before versus people who have coded a lot but aren't in the PHP ecosystem versus people who have been in that ecosystem for a while. And that weird conflict caught me particularly hard because I'm an experienced dev that doesn't use PHP. So it was unclear which path to go.
Yeah, there we go. So probably, you know, he didn't saw PHP for the last, I don't know, 10 years probably, because, I mean, a lot of developers who are, you know, who have a lot of experience in the field, most of them have done PHP probably in the early days, you know. And when you come back from that old experience with PHP, things did change a little bit, you know. Things did change a little bit. So just, you know, Pick and Flow is saying, feel that JS builds are way harder, but I am just used to PHP. Well, actually, you know what? Pick and Flow, that's a perfect example because, you know, when you go, for example, from vanilla PHP, let's say Laravel with Blade, and you jump into the JavaScript land with, you know, React, with Vue, you also have these compilation steps, you have the build step, you have like the dev commands to basically have those, you know, change every time you save a file. So there is also things that are different for us, at least not for us. I don't say us because I literally use React, but it's, you know, it sometimes is about if you are used to things or not, basically.
Most thought this was a massive skill issue on my part, and they were probably right. But on the other hand, the Laravel team took it real seriously. I went as far...
Just by the way, I'm a fan of Theo already, you know. I was a fan of Theo already, you know, and also, you know, from other streamers because I feel like they do a great job in the web community. So let's see.
I was doing a call with Taylor, yes, the CEO of Laravel and the original creator, to talk about this stuff. And they took it super seriously, real seriously. I went as far as doing a call with Taylor. Yes.
Oh, well, this I didn't know. So I did know that Taylor did some improvements to the framework based on the feedback from Theo. I didn't know they actually went to a call together. That's fun. Taylor is, you know, each time we have fresh eyes on the PHP, Laravel, especially Laravel ecosystem, Taylor takes that very seriously. You know, he takes that very, very, very seriously. So each time Taylor basically receives, you know, the opinion from someone who haven't seen that thing in the past, he takes that very, very, very seriously. Thank you, Turkey, for the donation on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support. Guys, I have amazing news for you. Amazing news. So, you know, this thing on Twitch and on YouTube, it took off a little bit, at least it took more than I was expecting. And I actually have, some YouTube members, but also Twitch subscribers, which financially support my work a little bit. And I just decided to basically reinvest that money and hire a designer for my thumbnails and for my shorts. Okay, so, that just happened today. And all the money coming from subscriptions on Twitch, but also coming from YouTube members, which is not a lot, but it's enough to actually have someone designing my thumbnails for YouTube videos, but also enough money to also have him basically editing my videos, on YouTube and making shorts that will be published on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, but also on TikTok. So those are amazing news, by the way. Okay, what do you guys think about that? Pick and Flow, thank you much. Thank you so much for the cheer, man. Yeah, thanks, Duff. I'm happy that you guys are happy with that accomplishment as well. I'm super excited about that. Thank you.
CEO of Laravel and the original creator to talk about this stuff, and they took it super seriously.
It's just, it's kind of funny that people say CEO of Laravel, which, Taylor is technically the CEO of Laravel, but even yesterday, he was like literally just coding like normal, like a regular developer on Tuple with us, literally helping us out, developing code. So he is literally like the same guy he used to be, but now with the title CEO, which is, which is a little bit funny.
And made a bunch of awesome changes that I'm excited to show you guys today.
Of course, I think it's good to hear outside feedback. And, that's something we recently changed. Actually, just yesterday, we launched a totally new way to install PHP on Mac, on Windows, on Linux. And that came from Theo giving feedback on Twitter about how hard it was for him to get started on PHP. So I'm not saying never listen to people that aren't necessarily in your ecosystem, but
yeah, this is what I was saying, that Taylor does this very good, which is literally just listening outside feedback. Because the feedback with fresh eyes, without any opinions already, it's the perfect feedback you can get to improve a framework. Jonas, welcome to the stream, man. Good evening. How you doing, dude? It's all right. You arrived just in time. So we are currently reacting to a YouTube video from Theo, which is, this guy right here. And he is literally making a video about his take on Laravel. Basically, he have tried Laravel once. The experience apparently wasn't that good. But now he tried it a second time, and he was happy with the result. And we are reacting to that video. That's what we're doing. Welcome to the stream, man. And welcome to everyone else. We are almost reaching, 100 followers again across Twitch and YouTube. Welcome to the stream. My name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer and Laravel core team member, actually. And, you can follow me on Twitch and on YouTube. Videos every single day at 1 p.m., streaming at 9 p.m. every single day.
The original creator.
Aranon is asking me if I know AI. Actually, we just made a video about AI in my YouTube channel, so check that out.
And that came from Theo giving feedback on Twitter about how hard it was for him to get started on PHP. So I'm not saying never listen to people that aren't necessarily in your ecosystem, but just mainly play for your fans, play the hits.
Huge shout out to Taylor and Josh for the hard work they put into getting this right. I can't wait to show you guys what they've done. But first, quick word from our sponsor. This video is all about making development in Laravel easier. But what about deployment? My experience site hosting and sites. Thank you to Saval and Laravel. That's the way to get started in today's video. And here we are. This is the easiest way to get started with PHP and Laravel that's ever been created. Now the getting started point in our documentation.
Oh, I actually thought that this command didn't came from the feedback from Theo. I truly thought that, the dev command was something that came from from the feedback from Theo, but I didn't know that also this new way of installing PHP on Macs came also, out of that discussion with Theo. That's interesting. Erdogan is saying that my hair and glasses match perfectly. You serious? Well, oh, because they are literally white, the glasses? Maybe that's why, I don't know.
Copy paste this command, and you're ready to go. It's not that easy before. Creating the app, Laravel, new, example.app, cd, PHP, artisan, serve. No more herd, no more weird brew installs, no more chaos. You just run the command.
Oh, because I remember, I think Theo have a better experience because previously Like, I think the first thing you would display is like install herd, which is technically true. Like, herd is like amazing, right? However, I feel like herd at the time, or it still has, I'm not really sure, like some sort of, makes people may think that they have to pay to use the tool, which is not exactly true, So I think Theo, when he's looking at that, his immediately experience was, oh, I need to pay to actually even have installing Laravel locally, which is not true, So.
And you're good to go. It's awesome. There's a couple other details that they changed specifically that Laravel knew is the recommendation. It wasn't before. They had a different command to run.
There we go.
Honestly was much worse. That was the command the docs said, and it didn't give me the control or any of the expectations that I had. And when I found this other Laravel, and
undeniably, just having Laravel new example app and then CD example app and PHP Artisan Serve is probably the fastest way to have Laravel up and running. Although undeniably, like, I think now this is possible because we have this little bash command which makes sure you have PHP in your machine with all the extensions, and all the, setup to basically have this up and running, okay?
And life got a lot better. I actually spent quite a bit of time dicking around with Laravel after that disaster of a stream. And you can see, as per always in Laravel apps, there are a ton of files.
Oh, he actually is showing an app he created? That's interesting. Let's actually take a look about the things that we have made on the dev script. So I'm not really sure if some of these scripts actually he just basically put it here, but I know that this dev script was something that Taylor developed to basically have, serving the app, but also, Pale and everything.
At least I know what most of them do now, and more importantly, I have commands that I expect. I went as far as making my own custom dev command that concurrently runs logs from PHP through Pale, as well as my Vite logs in one place. So now I have my expectations met of just pnpm run dev, and now I'm getting logs from all these different places. This is my expectations as a React dev being met. And when I showed them this, they took it real seriously.
Like he actually addressed it correctly now, which is, this is my expectations as a React dev. So yeah, as a React developer, you expect to run, npm run dev and literally have all the tooling ready. So I think like the dev script in Composer literally did that, because now we have, if we look at this, we have PHP Artisan Pale, which is funny. Laravel Pale, when I first developed it, basically not a lot of people care about it, but now everyone is using Laravel Pale. So, it's funny. We have here PHP Artisan Serve, which is a classic, I would say. We have Vite Dev, a classic as well. PHP Artisan Serve, which, I personally use Valet, so I don't use this PHP Artisan Serve too much, just sometimes. And what else we have here? And we have, that's it. Yep. Richard Oves is saying, hi, Nuno, it's great to watch your live for the first time. Hello from South Africa. Dude, welcome to the stream. Nice to see you, man. Theo just went live now. Yeah, we can probably raid them today, just at the end of the stream, just let's raid Theo. Why not?
They want to meet the bar of developer experience that I have set for me as a developer that uses different tools. Oh, I had to reinstall Postgres recently, so that reinstall probably broke things, and I'm too lazy to fix that. But you get the idea. The fact that I now get these logs how I expect in my developer experience is much better. I know that people from the PHP world are used to writing to a file and like paling that. Pale is dope, by the way. I think Pale should have been included as a default in all the Laravel stuff.
Thank you.
Because it makes logging and getting access to those things way better. Ecosystem's cool. I've been surprised. The more I dig in, the more types of things I've been finding that are actually quite interesting. But I want to show you guys just how much better getting started is. And I could do it myself, but our boy Josh has already done it for us. Link to his YouTube channel in the description if you want to see more.
Are we doing a react to a video? Richard is saying, hello, Nuno. I loved your OpenAI video with TJ and Prism. I have tried and it's incredible. Yeah, man. If any of you it's into AI, go check, my video with TJ. I explain how to install AI in Laravel, and you can literally get started. So if you don't know me, my name is Nuno, PHP and Laravel developer and everything in between. You can check my YouTube channel, but also, follow me on Twitch if you want to.
He is such a PHP nerd that he got hired by Laravel to work full-time on doing all this.
Yeah, props to Josh. Josh is awesome, man. He is a very smart dude and also an amazing YouTuber. Big fan.
Which is awesome.
You're new to PHP.
Just literally worked with Josh 30 minutes ago. Like literally, I was on Tuple with him literally 30 minutes ago.
And Laravel, and you're comfortable with the command line, so you just want one command to get a Laravel app up and running. Well, the Laravel team is listening, and we're dedicated to make this as simple as possible for you.
Look at that. I'm in a short for the official Laravel channel. I was memeing a while back saying that I was going to contribute more meaningfully to Laravel ecosystem than most people who hate on me for it. I did. By being dumb, I made Laravel better for everyone, and I'm actually quite proud of that. That was always the goal. I know people are like, you just want to shit on the thing. No.
Hey, Goofball Guinness, welcome to the stream again. Nice to see you, dude. Also, you are also an OG from this. Pig and Floyd is saying, you should check Olama. You can run open source models locally in your machine. Yeah, absolutely. MV Poopcop is saying, any PHP dev knows who Nuno is. Yeah, maybe. Chandra is saying, be fan of Nuno. Thank you so much, dude. Welcome to the stream. And Richard is saying, just a few lines of code to get AI chat working on CLI and Olama, OpenAI, Anthropic, etc. Indeed, man, Prisma is amazing.
I wanted to meet the bar that had been set for me, and now it is. They're taking the opportunity to level up, and I have a lot of respect for them for that. Let's hear the rest of what Josh has to say. Link to his channel in the description. I haven't already mentioned that, so you can check his stuff out directly.
Yo, I need to tell you something. Okay, Chad? I'm always upfront with everyone, super, transparent on this shit. So, yesterday we reacted to Primagen and Povilas, but I actually forgot to ask them if they would be okay with that. So I didn't sleep too much at night just thinking about this for some reason. So I contacted Primagen directly on Twitter, Povilas as well, and also Theo yesterday. Like the three of them, I contacted them and I said, I've reacted to your video, I wanted to be sure you are okay with it. And all of them just say, just do whatever you want with my videos, Mwah. Theo literally said, I treat my videos as an open source, contribution. So, do whatever you want. Respect to these three folks, by the way. Respect.
PHP installed, I don't have Composer installed, and I don't have the Laravel global command installed. So how fast can we install all of this so we can get a new Laravel project up and running? No edits, real time, here we go. We're going to start with the curl command, php.new/install/mac with a bash script. That's going to install PHP for us, Composer, and the Laravel global installer so we can get up and running.
Undeniably, this is just 1,000 times better than, Sail with Docker or whatever. I mean, just a script done. That's it. Undeniably better.
Now we just have to source our ZSHRC file or whatever you're using. So I'm just going to...
Hi, Daniel. Thank you, man. Nice to see you. I miss you, man.
Source that. And now we can start with Laravel new. Why don't we say, let's start as a project. And we're not going to use a starter kit, but if you had Node in...
Those starter kits are actually really good. Shout out to those. Specifically, once you set them up with the really cool... I don't know how to refer to it. Inertia, yeah. Inertia's dope. You're able to pass props from PHP.
Okay. Two things. First, indeed, the starter kits are awesome, but I think they will become even better. That's like the cool thing, They are going to become even better. So first, the starter kits are amazing. By the way, on chat, I want to know, guys, which starter kit do you prefer? Are you like a Jetstream guy or you are a Breeze? Okay, just write in the chat which one you prefer. I want to see that. But indeed, both starter kits are just unbelievably awesome. I just love both. And, I can imagine how much cool that should be for someone coming from the outside and just seeing two-factor authentication, Teams, all that stuff that comes with it. It must be awesome, you know what I mean? So literally everyone wrote Breeze. Jonas have Jetstream, okay. Uberosa Breeze, Carlos Breeze, Daniel Breeze, Duca Breeze. Yeah, I know. I know why most of you probably prefer Breeze over Jetstream. Probably because, you know, Breeze just publish everything to the controllers folder, while, you know, the Jetstream deal kind of, you know, you have to bind a new implementation of whatever. Yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Yeah. Must be that. Yeah. Richard, changing subject, Livewire or inertia? Dude, that's not a new subject. It's literally everything we have been talking on the past streams. I received that question is the most asked question on this stream. Laravel, Livewire or inertia? And my answer starting today will be both. That's it, both. Yeah, Breeze is awesome. I actually used Breeze for Laravel Cloud. So Laravel Cloud, the very first commit was actually the Breeze starter kit to literally bootstrap things. Peak Info is saying, Caleb paid me to say that Livewire is the best.
To your React code directly, which lets you run React with PHP as your router and data layer. Really?
Yeah, undeniably, inertia, especially inertia 2, is just unbelievably awesome. If you like React and you like Laravel, using both without the inertia is just, you know, it's just like this, you know. You need to be a little bit crazy.
Really cool stuff, and all of that is included in those templates as an option. And like inertia is so good that the thing I pushed on the team was make it easier for me as a React dev to get to the fun inertia parts as fast as possible. Because once I started playing with this, I saw the vision. I saw the vision very clearly once I got to this point. Just so you can see all the stuff that like the Laravel templates come with. You have full like user registration. So fake name, fake@gmail.com, register, has to be 8 characters. Nope. Now we have our page and chirps. So here's all the posts that I made before. New posts.
Yep. So this chirps deal, basically, it's like the Laravel bootcamp. You know, basically the tutorial that Laravel gives by default. Dukas10 is asking me if I have seen the VS Code extension for Volt from Robson. I haven't not seen yet the VS Code extension, but I will see once I have the chance for sure. Richard is saying, we choose Volt mainly because I did an excellent Udemy course on that stack to learn Laravel. Yeah, Volt stack is awesome, man. Yeah, Inertia 2 is just 1,000 times better in my opinion than Inertia 1.
Press that. Now we have our new post here. What's really cool is the way that this update happened. So if we look at the source code, I have my chirp controller. I don't love how many places permissions exist and how unclear those things often are. Chatted with him a bit about it. But yeah, and here what's really cool is this concept of redirect route. If you're familiar with server components, this is effectively a revalidate on a path where when a user does something, in this case, they are creating a post. So this is the store function for creating.
Yeah, it's basically explaining how inertia works, or, you know, how inertia actually hooks into that redirect request and basically, you know, makes things work with React.
Post. When this happens,
there is a few things here that immediately make me see that he's not a Laravel developer or a PHP developer. Like keeping brackets at this level, for example, is something that we typically do not do. If you run Pint, you immediately get them here. So I just noticed that. What else? Yeah, here, for example, he uses basically double quotes instead of single quotes for strings, which potentially means that he doesn't have the PHP extensions on this VS Code. He's also accessing the log facade, just literally putting the entire namespace here, which typically I would just, if I want to log an info message, I would just call the info function and I would get that as well. What else here I would say? Yeah, pretty much it. This looks solid, right? Here you can do, all right, this is something that not a lot of people know about, but instead of having redirect, route, blah, 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 you can have return to route, and then you specify the route within, which is kind of interesting.
I also redirect the user, which reloads the content of the page. So in this one request, in this one function, not only am I making the post and adding it to my database, I'm also updating the page. So I don't have to do separate code to trigger the update. It's not doing this live. It still has 2 requests. So if I like go in the browser here and we go to the network tab and I make another post and I remove the GraphQL filter here, when I click that, we do the post request, which gets sent as a post. And then afterwards,
I probably should talk with Joe about this, but I never really understood why does Inertia does 2 requests. Because technically, if we look at this network tab, on front of us, why wouldn't on the back end Inertia detect that we're talking about a redirect and literally return the redirect response already? You know, like the payload of that response. That's something that always confuses me a little bit, and probably it's something I can talk with Joe about, you know, to see if he can hook into it, okay? Chandra's saying, hi, Theo, I'm happy to see you. Well, you're seeing Nuno, but not Theo. But yeah, we're reacting to Theo, you know? I'm happy to see Theo here as well, by the way.
triggers the reload that is a get for the same route. So it's still 2 steps, but at the very least...
Yeah, they are very convenient steps. The only thing I need to confirm with the Inertia team is that why we don't, you know, on the very first request, we do the post. And if we know that we are doing a redirect on a response, why we don't return that redirect response payload on it? It kind of doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? It's a problem from Inertia, not a problem from Theo or whatever, you know?
You don't have to write all of the code and logic in order to do that layer. It does not work with Node.js for the same reason, sadly. But everything else here does, and it's really, really cool to get the DX win of not having to manually refetch on the client to get the updated stuff. Instead, I'm...
Exactly. So what he's saying is that if you wouldn't have Inertia, you would have to fire an Axios request or whatever the JavaScript folks use today to basically, you know, create the post, and then you would have to get the response back, and then, you know, potentially cause a reload again on the JavaScript world. That's why. Canada Raz is saying, by the way, I really like your reaction videos. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Richard Hobbs is saying, any viewers are not on Blue Sky. We need the Laravel folks on there. Well, you know, I'm doing my part. I love Blue Sky. I'm going there every single day. You know, it's an amazing testing, an amazing social network. MPPOC is saying, I still Axios or server components, depends on the framework. Yeah, Axios is still my HTTP client, basically, every time I use JavaScript.
Revalidating the page directly here, like that a lot. And I was surprised that the framework had the tools necessary for me as a React dev to trigger those updates inside of my PHP code. Thought that was really cool.
Yes, it is.
Sorry for the tangent, and sorry for interrupting Josh's minute and 20-second long video with however long that tangent was. You get the idea.
Installed.
Yeah, wondering, I find it funny that during the past video, and apparently during this video, he didn't mention past PHP. Probably didn't end up testing, you know, the application or the toy application he created. That's probably why. Richard Hobbs is saying, that's what I love about the Inertia, but we are hitting some cases where it doesn't seem to work or we have to use Axios. Could be that I don't know Inertia well enough. Well, that's actually a very good discussion to have. On Laravel Cloud, MBPOC, thank you so much for the gift subscription to the viewers. Thank you so much, dude, for your financial support. I was just saying, on Laravel Cloud, we have used Axios just one time. And the application is huge already, okay? And we have used Axios just one time. So I feel like most of the times you can do everything using the router of Inertia or the form helper from Inertia. Uberos is saying, I use the Axios a lot. Yeah, I still feel it's the current JavaScript client, right? If any of you does JavaScript, like only JavaScript apps, what do you guys use for HTTP requests? It's still Axios, right? Loki, welcome to the stream. Nice to see you, dude.
V out of the box within those starter kits, and we can go ahead and get this up and running. So we didn't have PHP installed, we didn't have Composer installed, we didn't have Laravel installed, and now with just one command we have all that.
Yeah, it's something we, I mean, probably was prior to have Theo trying the project. The fact that now we ship with SQLite, or SQLite, or whatever Primogen says about the database. SQLite is truly awesome. Psycho, thank you so much for the subscription, by the way. This is the way you can support me financially. All of the money I get from Twitch or YouTube are literally being reinvested on my YouTube channel and also Twitch channel. I was telling, some people here, literally today, I, contracted or got in touch with the designer for the channel, both YouTube and Twitch. So I already have enough subscribers on Twitch to actually hire someone to do the thumbnails, but also the shorts. And I'm super, super happy about that. Super happy.
Ready to go for us. With all the migrations in the SQLite database out of the box, now I can have that app up and running, open my code editor, and be ready to go. So cd let's start, and we can say PHP artisan serve. And now everything's ready for us. Of course, if you didn't need a fully featured dev environment to manage PHP versions and more, you can use Laravel Herd, but we can just open
Richard, thank you so much for the subscription, dude. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
this and be ready to go.
Not bad. Pretty proud that they have taken this opportunity so seriously. I'm genuinely really excited for future people interested in trying out Laravel that come from other backgrounds to possibly have a much better experience than I did getting started. It was honestly really frustrating.
Yeah, man. Like, honestly, people, if you have a fresh perspective on something, or if you are trying something on Laravel for the first time, and things didn't went in the way you would expect, just give that feedback to the team, because we love fresh eyes on anything we have, okay? That's the most valuable feedback that we can get, basically. Ducatan is saying, I'm still using jQuery Ajax. Not really sure how to react on that, but okay. Richard Hoves is saying, where we get stuck is trying to use inertia to get new data and not reload the page. Yeah, not reload the page? Well, when you do something, oh, I know what you mean, like literally just getting new data. Yeah, you need to call the reload method. If you're, I don't know if you're using inertia 1 or 2, but with inertia 2, you just have to call the reload with literally, preserve state, preserve scroll, scroll, and then you literally can fetch the page props from the callback. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. John is saying, funny react. Thank you, man. Canada, whoa. Carlos Pinto is saying, I use jQuery and Ajax at work as well. Yeah, jQuery is this fun story where I feel I would, I would recur to Alpine.js at the moment. Yeah, I don't see myself using jQuery anymore. I'm going to be honest, man. Like previously, especially 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I probably would still refer to jQuery to very little things. But now I just use Alpine.js. It's just so much, cool in my opinion. But jQuery was very popular back in the days. I still think it is, to be honest. Carlos Pino is saying, does the job. Indeed, man. Indeed. Yeah, but to be fair, the Alpine.js, it's kind of like jQuery, but have the templating layer, which makes it a little bit faster. Or not faster, but better. Because now, with jQuery, you still have to query the DOM every single time, where with Alpine.js, you can literally have a template written with Alpine, which is, a little bit better. MVPOC is saying, what I like about inertia is that I'm not very minimal on state management, as no longer need much. Exactly, like inertia. I don't use state management at all on inertia, to be honest. Inertia just handles everything for me.
So much so that I never posted the video, even on my third channel, because it just felt unfair. But they took that opportunity. I'm really proud of them for it. And I'm excited for a future where not only could people onboard better, but maybe some of these niceties like I was showing before with separated logging for all the different parts will make it easier for other devs to take advantage of all of these awesome things. Let me know what you guys think. Are you excited to try out Laravel, or is this just a meme framework of the week? I think it has a place in the ecosystem, and it's likely going to stick around.
Well, it's definitely not a meme framework of the week. It's been for a while now.
For a while. And after playing with Rails more recently, I am confident that it is the wrong choice. At the very least, give Laravel a shot. If you're looking for this model view controller type of work,
Aktu Aslan, thank you so much for becoming a member in my YouTube channel. As a reminder, if you become a member of my YouTube channel, you can see the videos as early access every single day.
Flow, it seems to be the furthest along by a lot. Until next time, peace, nerds.
Thank you, Theo. That was a cool video. Cool reaction on Laravel, and, you know, a funny thing to watch here. As a second video, though, we have literally this one by Theo as well, which says, why don't we have Laravel for JavaScript? Which is probably a very interesting topic to have, because currently, undeniably, there is a few frameworks on the JavaScript ecosystem that are trying to become like Laravel, but they don't get the same attraction, or they don't get, you know, the same popularity as Laravel have today on the PHP world. So yeah, let's just watch this video. I'm very curious to see what he has to say. By the way, at the end of the stream, let's make sure we rate Theo, okay, on Twitch, but also let's make sure we publish the links to these videos below the reaction so everyone can see the full video if they want to. Dev, I don't know who I am, is saying Adonis.js is basically a clone of Laravel. Adonis.js, you mean? Yeah, I've probably seen it a little bit. I would be surprised if it's a full clone of Laravel. Probably is inspired by Laravel, but Laravel has a lot of things, so I'd be surprised if Adonis.js provided the same things as Laravel do. Transcode is saying, Theo was the one who said that Laravel charged to see the logs. Yeah, that was a miss. It was probably a confusion of Theo on his very first experiment with Laravel. I think that confusion is now cleared, basically. He knows, you know, that he can literally just check the logs with Laravel Play. Yep. All right, let's get started on this. I'm excited.
Writing code for a while, you were probably around for the Rails era, when suddenly, out of nowhere, we had a way to build applications.
I have never used Rails. Well, to be fair, I have installed Rails and played with it a little bit, but in the past, when I was young, I have never used Rails, basically. Does any of you have used Rails before? Like, literally, installed Ruby in your laptop and tried Rails? I have never tried Rails. So, you know, I have actually seen the Rails changelog and the Rails source code to get inspired for some features in Laravel. I can say, for example, do you guys know like the prunable trait that you can put in models in Laravel? Actually, I got the inspiration from Rails, you know. So Canada is saying, I have never used Rails. Jonas, I have tried to use Rails. Cool. Yeah, Rails is it's undeniably a good framework, right?
Weird new language Ruby that allowed us to have server and client together in a way that kind of made sense. You would write a template, you would fill its data out using the model view controller paradigm, and structure through the view and the template what you wanted the user to see. And this is a magical pattern that is how so many of the applications we know and love were built, and how many of them are still built.
The pattern MVC, which is probably something we have heard of, is something that still today exists, and it's probably the most powerful known pattern in web applications, you know. And definitely, like, Laravel used to be have like a folder structuring way more based on that. Now applications are a little bit more complicated than that. That's why the structure in Laravel is a little bit different now. Canada is saying, I have been a PHP developer since 2003. Jesus Christ. I have actually made a video on PHP is backtick operator, which I literally find out that you can put, you know, like the backtick, you know, comma thing, and that you can execute PHP like commands on Bash with it. And that was released in 2001, I think. So probably were from that era. Richard is saying, I've been using PHP since 2001. Nice, man. I'm happy that, you know, such experienced developers like you guys are. Richard, apparently, and Drip and Castle as well. Wait, what? Drip and Castle is saying, I have been using PHP since How old you guys are? Like, seriously? I'm like younger than you, all of you, or what? Jonas Brand is saying 2004. Serious? I've started PHP in 2014, I think. Yeah, I probably played a little bit before, but like for real, 2014, I think. Before that, I was literally, you know, on college, I think. Yeah. No, you're not ancient. It's like everything in the head, everything in the head. Like if you do sports, if you, have healthy food, if you sleep well, if you love your family and you care for them, in your head, you can be young. You know what I mean? That's what matters, man. Daniel is saying PHP since 2000. Oh my God. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm 34, by the way. I'm 34. Yeah.
Today, services like GitHub are still powered almost entirely by Rails. They've moved a lot of the client to things like React.
Yes. GitHub is literally built on top of Rails, and there is so many applications out there we are built, on top of Laravel, PHP, Rails, and it's still something. It's still very popular. I think it will become even more popular in the future. At least Laravel.
But the general infrastructure is built around the patterns that Rails was one of the first things to invent in the OG Ruby era. The goal of this video is not to talk a bunch of shit about Ruby or Laravel or all these other solutions.
Thank you.
Laravel
I appreciate it.
has a purpose here because Laravel is an awesome framework. And I don't want to sit here and pretend it isn't. It is the PHP framework for web artisans, which sounds a little bit pretentious, but let's be real. We're JavaScript devs. We've said way more pretentious stuff in our time. I'm bringing up Laravel because it is a very important example of an all-in-one framework. What do I mean by all-in-one? Well, if we take a look at the ecosystem, you'll start to see what I mean in the fact that it takes a page scroll in a 3-column.
Undeniably, like Laravel is so much. Like what is powerful at Laravel? I mean, the framework is powerful, but the ecosystem of Laravel, it's just so much powerful. You have, just looking at this screen, you have WebSockets, you have application performance insights, you have feature flags, you have Pint, you have Noma, an admin panel, like literally built in for you. You have Jetstream as a starter kit. You have Octane if you want like extra performance in your app. I mean, there is so many stuff here. Just looking at this, you have Spark for building SaaSes. You have Telescope to debug your app locally and in production. It's just crazy.
Structure to see all the options here. Showcase.
MVPOC, this is something that, well, what I think Theo will kind of say on this video is that he prefers to choose the pieces to build his app. And yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say, MVPOC, which is literally, I feel like I would rather have everything coming from the same dude and everything is like cohesive and being maintained forever, basically, rather than just pull pieces like out of nowhere and then do not know if the things are going to be maintained, do not know if the things are, being kept secure. But let's see what Theo has to say about this. Transcode is asking, will there be a change in the design of the Laravel site? I think they are working on it. Yes, I think they are working on it. Correct. Cho is saying, just because Laravel has a solution for it doesn't mean you can't go third party. Yeah, absolutely, man. If you see a package that fits you better than anything you would find on this list, man, go for it. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is that when I'm developing Laravel apps, I don't want to have to think about some of the features on how to build them. They are just coming, with Laravel in the vendor folder. I just love that.
This is the level of stuff that exists here. And if we just click the getting started and you see how many things are included, there are primitives for so many things in Laravel, from setting up a mail server to managing notifications like push notifications, WebSockets, all of that stuff, to having a live update layer, which if I go back to the main page here, there it is, Livewire. The most productive way to build your next web app. Powerful dynamic front-end UIs without leaving PHP. You're able to update the client as new data comes in, or as a user clicks a button, you can see the result come back in, all coming from the server.
Canada is saying, on top of that, we have Spatie with so many good packages. For real, man. Spatie have, besides being an agency who does massive projects, they also have this huge layer of packages for Laravel that are just absolutely awesome, absolutely.
Where your UI is being powered by the server-side code and is constantly interacting back and forth via something like a WebSocket. These are all really cool things. And having one framework that includes all of this, so you don't have to go find the right solution for your problem. It's just there. There's a lot of value to this. And there's a reason people are getting so hyped about Laravel and solutions like it. There's a reason that we started in the same place with Rails back in the day. The reason is because when you went hunting for solutions, the ones you would find would often suck. Like, suck really hard. The alternative to the Rails stack back in the day was the mean stack. The mean stack was Mongo, Express, Angular.
Yeah, just by looking at this stack, it just basically brings you, I mean, you know, brings you obviously the DB layer, you know, and then you have the routing layer, which would be Express.js, which makes me think that, you know, if you're using DB directly, probably will be coupled immediately to MongoDB. And also AngularJS for the front end. I mean, it's impossible to write code that wouldn't make you coupled to the AngularJS, so you wouldn't never change it probably. But yeah, definitely if I would, you know, have to choose between Rails and this stack right here, I would undeniably choose Rails.
And Node. And of those 4 things, I can definitively say at least 2 of them are a mistake, if not 3. That's the problem, though. The alternative to Rails.
It's just hilarious. Like 3 out of those 4 options are are a mistake. I cannot say. I mean, I don't know if they are a mistake, but definitely it's, you know, if I had like to choose Rails or go full into, you know, choosing my own components and everything, I would go for Rails and not to have to think about that anymore, for sure. Transcode is saying, you use Angular in the front. Well, I have heard stories that AngularJS is actually very different now. So you might want to check that again, you know. I know that AngularJS started strong and then kind of lost its way a little bit, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, perhaps. But today, Angular is, I think, is strong. You know, I would have to check again, but I've heard stories that Angular, they actually find their way into making themselves appealing to the community. Really hot fixer saying a lot of people use Angular. Yeah, Angular, I think I've heard stories. I mean, I have not used it, you know, but I've heard stories that AngularJS have become a little bit better than it used to be, you know, literally better. Yuash Men India is saying Theo is live. Yeah, we are going to literally raid Theo after this stream because he definitely deserves it, you know?
Express, Angular, and Node. And of those 4 things, I can definitively say at least 2 of them are a mistake, if not 3. That's the problem, though. The alternative to Rails, which was an all-in-one solution that had recommendations for every problem you might have, was a thing that was so insanely modular, and the parts were not necessarily built to be very compatible with each other, that we could glue them, and it could work, but it didn't always work great. And if one of those parts was hard to implement or build around, and it turned out to not be a great part, that sucked. And it really was awful, feeling like the solution you picked was wrong, the new one that just came out was right, and now you're...
That is also, he didn't mention, but is also important. Like, when you pick something like Rails or Laravel, they come up with this folder structure or this amount of conventions which are undeniably good for new developers coming to your team. You know what I mean? Like, something you cannot deny when picking something like batteries included versus something like modular is that if you pick something batteries included, the newcomers to the team, they will immediately know and understand the project. Do you know what I mean? Just like today, when someone starts a new project in Laravel and the project grows, anyone can jump into that project and really start being productive since day one. That's what happens today on Laravel Cloud and, you know, on the Laravel projects like Laravel Vapor. It's actually a good example. When I first entered on the Laravel Vapor project on the Laravel team, I just understand it immediately since day one because everything was where it's supposed to be, you know what I mean? And I already knew Laravel. And versus when you go to a modular solution where you pick, you know, this component here, this component there, and that thing on the front end, that thing on the back end, 2 different languages potentially, kind of something in the between that nobody actually knows, then you will have, you know, to basically explain all of this, plus the technology is new to everyone coming to your team. You know, also, I mean, everything depends on context, but this is something to keep in mind for sure. Canada is saying, that's what I like about Laravel, it's the standards. Yeah, that's something for sure that we need to keep in mind. I just love when everyone is interacting on the chat, you know? I absolutely love when I'm like doing stuff while coding or interviewing or literally just reacting to a video and everyone was like literally interacting with the chat, makes a live stream so much richer. So thank you for that. Dripping Castle is saying convention over configuration. Yeah. It's not like that for everyone, though. There is people who prefer like configure everything and blah, blah, blah. I personally think that conventions are just way a little bit better. Transient Code saying, have you already tried Laravel Cloud, Nuno? I'm going to tell you a secret that nobody knows. I am like a Laravel Cloud developer. I'm literally developing the app, you know, so I thought people knew this. Anyways, yeah, I'm literally, you know, working on Laravel Cloud. Code Art, by the way, is saying, I tried TypeScript lately, and that's why I struggle with it. Yeah, TypeScript, you know, when you're coming from a JavaScript, you know, ecosystem, and you jump into TypeScript, you need to learn a little bit about type systems, you know, like what is generics and what is types, and that might be a little bit confusing for newcomers. But once you get into type systems, all of them look the same. By the way, if you just arrived, my name is Nuno. I'm a PHP Laravel developer, and today we are reacting to Theo, which is a famous streamer, and he's saying good things about Laravel, you know. I don't know if we will say a lot of good things about Laravel in this video, but hopefully we will, and we are reacting into it.
Behind, you have to catch that thing up. That doesn't really happen in these other ecosystems.
By the way, follow me on Twitch and on YouTube. I'm publishing content on those platforms every single day.
We don't see a bunch of stuff in Laravel where people adopted the wrong version and now they're miserable trying to upgrade, or they picked the wrong thing to manage.
That's another thing. Like when Laravel upgrades, literally you have one upgrade per year to all components, versus, for example, if you're trying to upgrade like all the little components you have in your project, it's like, it's a famous story that when you run npm update, nothing works after. So, and with PHP, it doesn't actually happen that much. I feel with Laravel is a little bit different though. It doesn't happen because we truly care about backwards compatibility. So it's like very rare that we have to ship a breaking change. Like literally, and it's very rare that we actually, you know, have to really ship a breaking change. We take that very seriously.
They're auth and now they're trapped and having a miserable time. Do you know what else doesn't really have that problem anymore? React. This is why we can go so much more modular now with so much less pain. And that's the thesis of this video that we're about to dive deep on. The reason we don't have a Laravel for JavaScript is because things are so much better without it. To be clear, we have tried. There are lots of attempts to do an all-in-one framework for JS. This
is what I'm curious about, because when I ask like, what are the alternatives of Laravel on JavaScript ecosystem, everyone talks about Adonis.js, and I was wondering if there is more than that actually. I would be surprised if that isn't, you know. Dana is saying, I'll also show you so many Laravel community members sharing tips, tricks, and simple reminders of the basics. Well done. It makes it super easy to pick up the pace and improve ourselves. I agree with that. I agree with that. John is saying only big changes was with Laravel 5. Yeah, I feel like Laravel 1, 2, 3, probably 4, a little bit the 5, have a lot of changes because the framework was growing so fast. But then we are quite stabilized since then. It's been 10 years since we are stabilized at the moment, I feel like. You know what I mean?
That I have pulled up here are Blitz, which, if you're not familiar, is very, very similar to what I did with Create T3 app. And when I say I mean my community, because I didn't really build Create T3 app. Create T3 app is a starting point that includes a bunch of our recommendations.
Oh, so this is where the 3G came from, the 3D app or whatever, right? So he's also a framework creator. Didn't know this.
We don't really recommend Prisma anymore. We really push for Drizzle because it's a better experience overall. And we learned and have moved on since. TRPC is a great way to do client server.
Oh, right. So he built like, it doesn't seem like a framework, but a starter kit, right? Let me check. Tiago Miquel Souza, thank you so much for the subscription on Twitch and for financially support my work. You know, you guys can also support my work if you want. Subscribe me on Twitch or on the YouTube members. All the money I get from this, I'm literally reinvesting on the channel and on my stream. So, you know, recently I just hired a designer to do all my thumbnails and also my YouTube shorts. So really just reinvesting everything. Pick and Flow just gifted 1 sub to the viewers. Thank you, dude, so much. I feel you already have subscribed in the past, so thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Create T3 app is a starting point that includes a bunch of our recommendations.
Exactly. It's like a starter kit, I would say. It's something like Breeze or Jetstream on Laravel, which, you know, comes with a bunch of components already out of the box. Let's see which components they are.
We don't really recommend Prisma anymore. We really push for Drizzle because it's a better experience overall. And we learned and have moved on since.
So looking at this, Prisma seems to be like a ORM, basically. So something like Eloquent in Laravel, where you basically have, a type-safe API to query your database. It can be used with the most SQL dialects and Mongo too. Interesting. So basically you have an API, just like you have on Eloquent, where you can, you know, query the database.
gRPC is a great way to do client-server interactions, but you can also use server components.
So I can immediately say one thing about this, which is the fact that Theo comes with his starter kit, and basically they're all different components, like, you know, Prisma for Eloquent for ORM database queries, NextAuth for authentication, already tells me that things are not coupled to each other, which in theory, coupling can be a bad thing, but in reality is actually very convenient. You know what I mean? You know, because things are always tested together when they are coupled. Like Laravel comes with auth, Eloquent, like all these different pieces all together, they are coupled indeed, but it also, like, they are very cohesive. So there is no possibility of, you know, making something breaking on this side that will break the other component on the other side. So, but yeah.
Too. Tailwind CSS is the best way to write CSS, even like the Rails and the Elixir communities.
Dude, having Tailwind for CSS is undeniably the best option. So on that, we fully agree.
I largely agree with that, thankfully.
Carlos Pinto is saying, who uses Bootstrap? Yeah, that's actually a very good question. Who here uses Bootstrap? I used Bootstrap too back in the days, and there was a lot of fun. I think I have started or stopped using Bootstrap when it came the Bootstrap 3 version, but also like Tailwind came a little bit after, and then I just became a fan of Tailwind, you know? Thiago Miquel Souza is saying the micro ORM is already better than Prism for GS backends. So Thiago is saying basically that now we have a new ORM for JavaScript, which is called apparently micro ORM. And Theo was also saying that he also recommends that new approach for his starter kits, you know?
NextAuth is an open source authentication layer that you can use.
So this is like a small disadvantage again when you work with modular pieces, is basically the fact that, for example, if a new developer would come to your team, he would have to learn the new API from that new ORM, you know, which is, I mean, it's all about disadvantages and advantages. So, you know, we could discuss this all day. What is better? What is not good? At the end, is like what works for your team, right?
If you don't want to use it, there are also services you could integrate here as well. TypeScript, because we don't think you should be writing vanilla JS anymore. Very rare that it makes sense for application code. And Next as the core piece we're building around. Blitz was originally very similar. The difference being Blitz has its own version of a lot of those things, its own wrappers around those things, and doesn't really give you a way to remove the ones you don't want or replace them with something else instead, because it's meant to be a lot more like Rails. The creator of Blitz, Brandon Bayer, Fly Bayer on Twitter, built Blitz because he missed the Rails experience of just having a working solution for every problem you might run into. The solution might not be perfect, but it at least works and is there.
Yeah, something I'm just noticing here is that Blitz is like doing import DB from DB, which I would assume DB comes from, you know, the Blitz framework, and you can just do project create and whatever. So it's probably a wrapper around existing, existing modules on JavaScript, which probably make things a little bit more cohesive, you know, and apparently didn't take off. I don't know why.
He doesn't have to think about it. Sadly, Blitz did not particularly take off. Okay, this is the issue.
Yeah.
There's no create Blitz. It's just the one Blitz thing. So it's really hard to compare installs, which is what I wanted to do. But it is not trivial to do so. So I won't do that. That would be a weird dunk anyways. Blitz is far from the only one of these solutions, though. There's also...
So I have never used Blitz. If any of you already have used Blitz, let me know what you think. Let me check here. Richard Hobbs is saying Tailwind is game changer. I agree with you. Thiago is saying what I miss on the GS ecosystem. Jonas, thank you so much for subscribing, dude. You have been, you know, a regular listener of my Twitch stream, so I appreciate your support financially. Thank you so much, dude. Thiago is saying what I miss in the GS ecosystem is Eloquent, to be honest, where I could, you know, have multiple types of connections in databases in the same interface. Yeah, but from my understanding, Prisma and also the other tool he mentioned, I think is Micro, is kind of what the little bit Eloquent is. Am I right? Canada is saying it's very fragmented. You have to go to 5 different websites for documentation. You mean like the Blitz framework? Okay, that's surprising. Chandra is saying Nuxt.js fan here. I have never used Nuxt, so I have no idea. Pick and Flow is saying what I'm missing on the GS is Nuno. That's hilarious, man. They can't compete. Let's go. Richard is saying, just to hear Theo say that we should use TS in JavaScript doesn't make sense for apps. Yeah, you know, it's about advantages and disadvantages. Again, I'm going to tell you something that it's my belief. So for backend code, I use fully typed backend code with PHP stand, PHP, you know, so everything is fully typed on the backend. On the front end, you know, I don't think TypeScript makes always sense. Okay, I won't say that I would always use JavaScript or vanilla JavaScript. However, I think it's debatable depending on the context for the front end. For the backend, I mean, types all the way. Richard Oves is saying, my main app is 23 years old. Jesus Christ. It's over 1 million lines of PHP with no framework. Nightmare. Oh, man. You know, that must be tough. Elmison is saying, Nuno, my friend, how is he doing? How are you doing, man? Thiago Miquel Souza is saying, the Micro have one package for each driver. Yeah, man, I don't know why they wouldn't just ship with everything. I would be surprised if they wouldn't do that. Like, why would they force you to install, you know, every little piece of it? But I mean, I think it's something that the GS world just does, you know. All right, let's watch the video.
Adonis, create bespoke backend applications in record time. The TypeScript first framework.
So Adonis.js was the framework that I've already heard, which is similar to Laravel.
Building web apps and API servers. They're not as focused on the UI side, but you can integrate UI stuff in it. This is much more focused on the server side, making APIs with the whole ecosystem of all the tools and parts.
Well, I cannot be sure about Adonis because I've never tried, but if I would have to guess, I would say that Adonis.js have like the same API for Laravel, especially for routing, you know, probably some validation layer for forms, and you know, this kind of deal. But then they would just miss like all the other ecosystem around Laravel, probably, you know.
DBs and ORMs and controller type things you might want or need. And it looks and feels a lot like Ruby and Rails. So if that's what you're looking for, you have the solution there. And then there is Redwood. Redwood is particularly fascinating. They have some really cool stuff coming soon. If you're not already familiar with Redwood, it is kind of an alternative to Next, but it's much more focused on being batteries included, having all the React conventions, all the backend stuff, a giant GraphQL server built into the framework.
Interesting. So it seems that Adonis.js doesn't come with React or any UI opinions, but this framework comes literally with React included.
With the ability to...
It's kind of interesting, by the way.
Interface between client and server. Storybook built in as well, which, God, I really hope they delete at some point because this Storybook is rough. Is an interesting option that has also historically found issue finding a customer base and getting adopted. To this day, I don't know anybody who's actually shipping Redwood that isn't part of the Redwood team, which is sad because it seems like a really good...
I have never used Redwood. I don't even know what this framework is about, you know? Richard Hoves is asking me, interesting, do you know why React instead of Vue? Well, I can tell you why I would use React instead of Vue, because React at this moment, the ecosystem is just bigger, you know? You have more components, you have libraries like ShadCN, which gives you so much flexibility, a bunch of stuff just done, you know? And, you know, it's just hard at the moment not to pick React over Vue, to be honest, because React just seems more popular, there is more content. You know what I mean? So if I had to do JavaScript, I would definitely just pick React and, you know, just live with it.
solution. I've had great conversations with them. It's really interesting stuff, but nobody seems to care. They're actually coming out now, moving to server components and moving off of GraphQL, which is...
I want to hear this. Transcend Code just sent an opinion about the Adonis.js, and I want to hear this. So, although Adonis or similar to Laravel exist on the JS, they not stand out. They do not reach the level of Laravel. So that's what I was saying. Like typically frameworks trying to be like Laravel, they go just until the routing layer. They don't pass over it, which that's why I think like Laravel is so powerful. It's not like the routing layer or the validation stuff. It's literally like the entire ecosystem, auth, queues, you know, like the entire thing is just so much big that it's just literally almost impossible to, you know, to try to do something like that at this point. It's just more than 10 years of work, I would say. So Chandra is asking me, like, when comparing Vue with React for use with Laravel, many developers find Vue.js more comfortable. Yeah, I actually, yesterday, during the React to Povillas, I think, we have, like, charts comparing Vue.js and React. And Vue.js was, like, more used than React for Laravel developers. So, you know, so Vue is definitely popular on the Laravel ecosystem. Yeah, ShotCN is a big thing at the moment. So a lot of people use ShotCN. There is Tailwind UI as well, which I think you probably can use with Vue. I don't know.
It's awesome, especially if they have a good migration story. But despite existing, having all these solutions and being the Rails for JavaScript, which as we've established here, we have 3 options. And arguably Create T3 app is a 4th option, but we're more modular. Our goal is to give you the parts and let you opt in and out. These solutions did not take off. And even Create T3 app barely did, especially when you compare it to things like just vanilla Next.js with TypeScript. There's a reason for that, though. The reason is because it's so much easier to take pieces in and out in this ecosystem. When it was hard to adopt the solution, and because
something I'm noticing on the Theo is starter kit is that he has this thing called nextauth.js. So let's just read this. When you need a flexible, secure, scalable auth, nextauth.js is top-notch. It ties into your existing database and provides a simple API to manage users and sessions. So having auth self-manage is what Laravel does as well. So we have literally, we just literally provide auth out of the box. And it just really confuses me. Why would you don't manage the authentication? Why would you pass over providers or, hosted servers or basically, APIs to manage auth? Like, why would you do that? If you can have auth in your app locally, with Laravel, you do nothing. You literally just user get that done, or user login, that's it. In Laravel, you have user login, user logout, done. Just literally two lines of code. That's it. So if you have this, and apparently I believe like with nextauth.js would be kind of the same way, why would you ever not do auth in your project locally? That is so confusing to me. I will never get that, like literally. Unless there's a very good explanation, like really. Not like doing that's something I have never known. Like literally, I have never worked in the project that didn't handle the authentication themselves. Like, why? It just comes with Laravel. That's it. That's done. Nextauth, I believe, is the same thing. I would be surprised if they don't have this on the GS world.
So much easier to take pieces in and out in this ecosystem. When it was hard to adopt a solution, and it was even harder to identify a good solution, and the absolute worst part, when most of the solutions sucked, having an all-in-one that was guaranteed to be good enough was a fantastic thing, especially when you look at these other languages and realize how hard it is to make packages or framework-like things. There's a common saying in the React world now, which is that if you're not using a framework, you're building one. And on one hand, this is meant to be a dunk on the...
Wait, what?
There's a common saying in the React world now, which is that if you're not using a framework...
For real, so true. Oh my God. All of us have jumped into existing projects where when you go to the job interview, and you come to the job interview, all excited, I'm going to find my job and blah, blah, blah. You arrive and you ask, what framework are you using? And when the answer is our own framework, it's so, so sad when people answer this. It's our own framework. You know exactly where we're going, like literally spaghetti code and all those, you know what I mean? Oh my God, it's hilarious. Drippin Castle is saying, in my experience, I see GS devs who love storing a lot of data on session and local storage. I mean, there is definitely data that should live on over those layers, but not everything for sure. Drippin Castle is saying, or when you go to a job interview and they say, we use Laravel in React, but we made a lot of changes to the internals. Yeah, I mean, that's something that people should never do. When you change something like the vendor directory, or you know what I mean, and you commit the vendor directory, it's like that sentence, you know, it's something you should never, never, never do. Okay? If you want changes on a specific framework or open source projects, you have two options. Okay, two options. You can either, you know, suggest those changes to the open source project, like literally on GitHub, or you can fork the project. However, if you're forking the project, it's kind of that sentence as well, because you are not going to maintain it that much. You know what I mean? So be careful about that. Richard Hove is saying, our 23-year-old PHP application uses globals. Oh my God. Don't use globals. It's just literally the worst thing in the planet. Oh my God. Jonas is saying, not thoughts on rebuilding it. Yeah, well, I think Richard Hobbs was saying that his project is like 1 million lines of code, so it might not be that easy.
You're building one. And on one hand, this is meant to be a dunk on the people who say, I don't need Next or Remix or any of those things. I can do it myself. But the more important undertone here is that effectively any app dev can build the exact framework they need with the parts they do and don't want. JavaScript has a bunch of massive advantages here. It's way easier to swap these pieces in and out and compose them. And the ecosystem around everything from NPM to React components to hooks to all the stuff that we adopt and use in these infrastructures and servers and applications, it's all much easier to compose, change, swap in, swap out, rewrite.
Yeah, this theory of swap in, swap out is very good on paper, but in reality, let's just think a little bit. Like, swap a front end. Like, how many times do you fully rewrite the front end that was written, for example, let's say on AngularJS, and now you rewrite everything on React? Like, some attempts I have seen, they basically start migrating things and they never finished. I actually already saw one very good migration at Laravel. So we basically migrated the entire front end of Laravel Forge that was built using like ancient technology, and it was fully migrated to Vue.js 3. So that was actually one successful migration I've seen. But most of the migrations, when we're talking about swap in, swap out components, they don't actually are that easy, you know, like swapping, you know, a backend driver, for example, or, you know, swapping languages, like changing from languages. It never happens, you know, or it's just difficult, or you end up with both, which is like the worst nightmare.
Do what you want with. And over time, those pieces have gotten really, really good. And that's the magic that makes JavaScript so special. And that's the reason we'll probably never see one of these Rails or Laravel-like things succeed in the JS ecosystem. Because it's an ecosystem where we have infinitely more people making awesome new solutions that improve on certain problems that the existing solutions didn't. Not happy with Prisma? Well, there's 3 guys in the Ukraine making Drizzle, which is way faster, way smaller, generally easier to work with, and has a lot fewer of those quirks. Don't like Next? We got Waku and Remix pushing the boundaries of what you can do with React.
Yeah, so you have options, but what I was, you know, trying to argument is that it's cool to have options, but in theory, swapping these options within the project is not that easy, because things in theory, they work the same way, but, you know, in reality, they don't. So, but I get this point, you know, I get this point.
Don't like React? Well, we got Solid and Svelte as phenomenal solutions for you to adopt as well. This is the magic of JavaScript, not a flaw. And the idea that JavaScript is somehow fundamentally worse because we don't have a Laravel is so confusing to me, because we have
Yeah, the Drippin Castle is saying, but the cost of context switching applies here. Too many cooks to yeah, exactly. Like, there is also the fact that it was that's what I was trying to say, that, you know, when you have a team of 3-4 developers, for example, and then you have all these different technologies, and potentially in 5 years you swap them and you have new technologies coming, you know, potentially for new team members, all of that stuff, it's new for them. It can be complicated sometimes to understand as well. Marty Code is saying, sorry when the question was there, but what do you think about Adonis? It's the GS framework with most similar to Laravel, but it's still far away from Laravel. Well, I have not checked Adonis recently, but from what I have seen, and again, from what I have seen on the internet, it seems to, to be very similar to Laravel regarding the routing layer and validation layer. But then Laravel is just so much bigger in terms of ecosystem that it's hard to keep up with it. You know what I mean?
And no other language has so many great full stack all-in-one solutions, much less so many great pieces that we can compose and assemble into our own best solution. These are the strengths of JavaScript. It might suck a little bit that if you're learning the language and you look and there's 15 different options for one of the problems that you have, and you're used to Rails where there's only one, it might feel a little bad to have to pick a solution because you're worried about picking wrong. The reality nowadays is that it's hard to pick wrong. If it's one of the solutions that's being recommended online and the doc that you're reading is less than 5 years old, you're probably going to be okay. You can start a React app today using Create React app, and I might make some jokes on Twitter.
Undeniably, the React has been here for like 10 years already, okay, which is kind of a surprise compared with the past JavaScript, where things would change literally every year. You know what I mean? React is undeniably, coming strong to the scene, at least React. Transcode is saying the simple fact that every week they release a new frameworks and libraries makes it terrible to the ecosystem. That's what I was saying. To the front end, though, React is kind of popular and is still strong, and I think will be strong for the next couple of years, I feel like. In addition, every time a version of Node is released, the entire project dies. A lot of insecurity GS. Well, Theo was saying that isn't that much like that anymore. But, I haven't tried recently, so I don't know. Just by the way, if you just arrived, if you don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro. I'm a PHP in Laravel developer, and I work with everything in between. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can give me a follow there. I'm releasing videos every single day. And if you're watching me on Twitch, give me a follow here as well. You can subscribe me on Twitch if you want to financially support me. All the money I get from this, I just reinvest the money on making this stream better.
But it's a fine solution. And if you realize it wasn't, and you actually want to move to some other solution because, I don't know, you want to render the pages on the server, or you saw these server component things and you were excited, you can go make a new project using those solutions, copy paste your components over, and they'll probably work. The way that JavaScript works is so much more accessible, composable.
Yeah, the probably work, well, it depends, right? Because if you have a component written with Vue.js and the other component written with React, that probably work. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how the new JS folks write components, but the way I write components, at least on React right now, they are coupled to React effectively,
And flexible.
It is literally imports from React and stuff coming from ShadCN, for example, which is
the desire for these
React.
frameworks just isn't there. And if you're in the ecosystem for a long time, you quickly realize you don't want that, because you'll build a gut feel for the solutions that make sense for you, and you can just keep using those instead. As much as I love the new Next.js server component stuff, Create V3 app still by default recommends the way that we did it 3 years ago, which was render with Pages Router, a quick template on the server side, and then let the client side take over with TRPC, because that was one of the best ways to build really client dynamic heavy applications like what we built with Ping. We have not moved Ping over because it's still a really good solution for that problem. But if we wanted to, we can. And that's the magic. Sorry for the outfit change. I realized I missed a point that I really care about with this discussion. I want to take some time to talk about it. The idea that any one of these pieces that, yes, get swapped around a lot, improved, changed, rebuilt constantly, has an interesting side effect that people are reasonably concerned about. That side effect is startups forming around these pieces. In the Laravel community, the idea of an auth company sounds funny because auth is just a part of your framework. But in the JavaScript community, there are startups that do just that.
Yeah, you see, like, this is what I was saying. For me, it's really hard to understand why wouldn't you manage auth yourself? But definitely Theo sees something I'm not seeing here. Not only Theo, a lot of people in the JavaScript community, they think having auth, like, being managed or, by external services makes sense.
This is awesome because we have the options in JavaScript, because some things make a lot of sense to just have a package for. And auth is one of those. We have great options like Auth.js and Lucia to self-host open source authentication.
Exactly.
But when you realize a lot of the intricacies of auth that suck, like the compliance, the creation of JWTs and dealing with those, all of the weird integration.
Yeah, well, what I would expect, those packages who handle like literally auth would have, you know, some of those features you are asking for. But yeah, man, I can also understand that potentially using this kind of services gives you metrics, potentially gives you other kind of things that, you know, something like self-managed auth doesn't give you. So I get that.
At every level you might have to build to make this stuff work in the first place. Compliance with all the crazy things that big businesses expect. Getting all of that right sucks hard.
Yeah, I get that.
That a company can show up and do it. And Clerk's not the first one. They're one of many. And if you look at other ones like Auth0, they were largely built around the Rails community. So this isn't a new thing. So I'm really frustrated that people seem to think it is, that JavaScript's just forced everyone to go to services. No, this has always been a thing. But more importantly, the ability for anyone to build both a service for a thing as well as an open source alternative is better than it's ever been. For every one of these big, don't get why people treat this like a negative.
Yeah, I mean, I find it very hard to believe, like, why would I basically use a service for auth? But anyways, Richard Host, thank you so much for the 7 subs, 2 viewers. Dude, really appreciate your support, man. You know, it feels good, man. After like literally a couple of days streaming, having so much support already from you all, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I know a lot of devs that are more than happy still shipping React 16, barely even using hooks. And that's awesome, because if that's what you're into and you like the solution you have, you don't...
Yeah, despite of the negative opinions on React, I can definitely say that React was a good thing coming from the JavaScript world. You know, everyone is using React at the moment. At least that's what I feel. And it truly feels to me that React got it right. It's been around for already a couple of years, and seems that people are, you know, using it as also like React Native, which is awesome. So yeah. Yeah, indeed, I reached my goal on subscriptions, Jonas. That's right. Thank you for that, man. Richard, thank you so much, man. See you next time. Bye.
Have to keep up. And the fact that we have things going on constantly, that's not a negative. And I really am confused on like a deep level as to why people look at the JavaScript ecosystem, see that there isn't a popular alternative to Laravel, and somehow blame us and say that JavaScript's worse for it. It's not. It's actually the magic of JavaScript.
I also feel like, now to be realistic, like I'm going to just be really honest with you, chat. I also feel like something we cannot negate is that some people literally try to defend a little bit their own ego, you know? So, for example, I am on the Laravel ecosystem. I work with PHP. Of course, I try to defend a little bit my area, you know, my family of PHP friends and folks. And I feel like it's also a little bit on the JavaScript side where people try to defend a little bit their own ego as well. You know, they try to defend their own community, their own friends, their own frameworks, things they are working with. You know, because a lot of us, like I have grown with PHP and a lot of other people have grown with JavaScript. So when I find funny these discussions, not funny, but interesting, is when we actually try to discuss things as they are, you know. For example, I find very hard to understand why would you not self-manage authentication, you know. And if someone doesn't agree with that, we can have a fairly conversation and really try to understand the pros and cons, literally the advantages and disadvantages. And, you know, not only with auth, but with other stuff. You know, I'm always open to this kind of discussions, you know, to try to, you know, possibly bring some stuff to PHP. Like part of the reason why some of my packages got so popular on PHP, like Past or PHP Insights or, you know, Charmwind, was because I was open, you know, open to see what does other ecosystems have. And I'm going to just bring that to the PHP world. So, you know, sometimes you have to defend your ego, but try to lower it a little bit. To really just, you know, embrace a little bit what other people are doing and really try to grow with it.
And it's the reason.
And I feel, by the way, I feel Theo does a great job lowering his ego and really trying to, you know, understand why the other ecosystems are doing that way. So he's a great dude, by the way. Big fan.
Betting on it forever. Long live JS. And God bless the maintainers who made this ecosystem the best one in all of software. It's a shame other communities look at it and think the good is bad, because the good is unrivaled.
Now, I don't think that he is good and bad. That he is good and things that, you know, could be even better. Let's say that.
In any other space. Let me know in the comments why I'm wrong about PHP, because I know you guys love to do that.
Oh my god, it's just hilarious that he's saying this on the video. I'm like a PHP guy just reacting into Theo. Anyways, I think you know, Theo's video is very interesting. You know, we saw 2 videos today. The first one was very fun. This one was more like a complex discussion, as a deep one as well. And I think it's a very interesting one, a very interesting discussion. Yeah, you guys in the chat today were awesome, by the way. I loved the fact that you were discussing with me these interesting things. And yeah, so if you don't know me again, if you just arrived, my name is Nuno, PHP and Laravel developer. You can follow me on Twitch, on YouTube. Streams every single day at 9 p.m. Okay, so for today, I think that's it. It's already 1 hour and a half of stream. You know, I need to take some rest because tomorrow is a big day in Laravel Cloud. And thank you so much for being on that side. That being said, let's just rate Theo, because definitely he deserves it. If he is still online, let's see. So if I go to Twitch, yeah, Jonas, I'm gonna raid. Thank you for being here, man. All right, I'm gonna go to search and then see if Theo is still online, because he definitely deserves this raid. Thank you so much, everyone, for being on that side, man. All right, Theo is still online, so let's just rate Theo and, you know, appreciate the fact that he have created these 2 videos for us to react. So I'm going to rate Theo right here, which should be done. And yeah, chat, thank you so much for being here with me today. Tomorrow we have another stream. Thank you so much for, you know, all the subscriptions today as well. Tomorrow, new video at 1 p.m. in my YouTube channel. And yeah, it was a fun stream. I had fun. So see you all tomorrow. Peace out.